you not read the colony policy that defined you as company property? That wavers your say in autonomy. The conglomerates got you in lock and key. We are a family forged in bureaucracy. No I in team, but there's con in economy. Were you expecting adventure? Were you hoping for fun? My friend, you're indentured and pleasures exempt from your tenure, so venture back down to your slum. You should have read the fine print, my friend. Should have read the fine print. You should have read the fine print, my friend. Should have read the fine print.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Manapot Studios. I am your GM for the evening, Karen Russmore. Pronouns are he, him. As I guide the crew of the Fool's Gold along the Starfinder Adventure Path Fly for your die in the stream that we call All That Glitters Explodes. Welcome. Let's start off as usual, going around the table and introduce ourselves. Flimsy.
Hello, I'm JStation64. I play Flimsy, the bad man Arthur McGannon. I am a dwarf mechanic, and I am very excited to be wearing my cowboy hat and get my lasso going. And yeehaw.
So let's say bad man Arthur.
I was a bit sort of like, what? And then it was like, oh, because of the cattle rustling.
Wrong stream. Sorry, guys.
Hi, everyone. I am Krifu Bernal. I am playing... my pronouns are he, him, and I am playing Yeva, the Sarkeesian witch warper, whose pronouns are she, her. She is triggered. She's having flashbacks to living on the asteroid ranch that her parents run in the diaspora. And her father trying to teach her how to, I don't know, like lasso a space cow in low grav. She's not digging it, but you know what she really does dig? A payday.
And Trix.
Yo, I'm Crit Commissions, pronouns are they, them, playing Trix, space pirate extraordinaire, soon to be pilot of a cattle hoarding rancher thing. Why not? She's probably good at it. Yeah. I lost my train of thought.
Well, don't lose the cattle train in the future. Jahir.
I am Retro Ted, he, him, playing Jahir, also he, him, who is a Kasasa soldier, and I'm looking for the biggest 10-gallon hat I can find, I think.
So what has been alluded to is that the crew is in the middle of a cattle drive, but let's just take care of some paperwork top of the session. We are not going to be here for the next 2 weeks. We will be returning on the 3rd of January 2022.
Isn't that 3 weeks, or is that just 2 weeks?
No, we're off here for 2 weeks. We're returning in 3.
There we go.
Some of us will be around on other streams and our own streams. We'll detail that at the end, but just letting you know that All That Glitters is Gold is taking its holiday break. And speaking of holidays, this week's Pack Facts is brought to you by Flimsy.
Hello. So, as we are about to go on our holiday break, I thought it might be nice to look at some of the holiday season celebrations that take place amidst the stars. Now, there aren't any explicit holiday festivals stated in Starfinder lore that I could find. However, the synopsis of the soon-to-be-released Starfinder Society scenario, A Festive Operation, brings to light that these holiday season festivals exist, take place everywhere from the vast to Absalom Station. So, touching on some Pathfinder lore and some help from Yeva, we're going to take a quick space sleigh ride through some of the festive festivals that might be taking place across space. We'll be starting off, of course, with the big, jolly red man himself, Asmodeus. At both the summer and winter solstices, worshippers of Asmodeus celebrate the Days of Wrath, a days-long celebration of blood sports and brutal battles to the death, where only one remains standing and is gifted whatever it is they desire, much like our tradition of a Black Friday. Up next,
that sounds like my kind of tradition. Just throwing that out there.
You can win your freedom from slavery. You can win a pot of gold. You can win all kinds of things, even a widescreen TV. Next, we have the Ritual of Stardust, which is one of the few formal religious holidays in honor of Desna. Worshippers light great bonfires and hold massive feasts before throwing in a glittering mix into the fire and making great proclamations of thanks and love and changes to come, not unlike the dreaded New Year's resolution that we have ourselves. It is said that when the sand beneath their feet sparkles like the stars above, Desna has heard the declarations. And that, of course, means that the New Year's resolution that they make will last up to 3 weeks rather than just 2 weeks as usual. And lastly, of course, we have Candlemark, the most holiday-ish of the holiday celebrations, traditionally celebrated on the winter solstice by the worshippers of Serenre. Taking place when the sun is at its weakest, it celebrates the day that an individual joins the faith and kind of signifies that Serenre's power to heal and redeem is still there with faithful worshippers even in the dim of winter. Some hold a great feast in celebration of the day, others go on a pilgrimage, while some spend the day in peaceful kind of contemplation and prayer. And much like old Scrooge himself, the ceremony is particularly meaningful to those who were once less than kind and have been redeemed by Serenre's light. And who's to say that it wasn't Serenre herself that appeared to him that night as 3 ghosts all those years ago. So that is a little taste of some of the interstellar celebrations across the stars. So whatever planet you're on, whatever you choose to celebrate, we all here, apart from Caron, hope that you have a wonderful holiday season ahead.
Now, I said that in jest. I'm a miserable grump over the festive holidays. And
with more swear words.
Jest that I wish everybody a terrible festive period, but I'm joking. I hope everybody has a good time. I certainly won't be doing. So, yes, where we left off last week. I meant to review where we started last week. I think that was it. We started with the fight against the stuff of nightmares, the Skreelings.
Yes, yeah.
Aboard the ship.
I thought you were talking about where we left it off, and I was like, are we in another horrible monster fight?
No, I'm trying to summarize last session, basically, from the start to the end. I couldn't remember where we started. So we started off in the cargo hold or aboard the Fool's Gold, where some of the cargo had managed to get free, which wasn't really expected for chemicals to be getting up and wandering around the ship. You definitely fought those out. You pushed some out of the airlock rather abruptly, and then contacted Arankari to ask what. They basically said, leave it with me, ditch the cargo in the intended location, try to make sure as much of it as possible is in the required location. Having completed that, they paid you not only what you were due, but also a little bit of extra danger money, seeing as though these chemicals had started to get up and walk around. And asked that you just leave it with him to take care of the finer points of what had just happened. After that, you cruised around a little bit, potentially looking for some more work, when you got a call from a Skidamander and a Panther. Can anybody remember their names? Because I can't.
Dami and...
Baron Cavander Gravender.
Close enough. Baron Kamalar Gravender.
That's my handwriting.
It also might be my pronunciation. So there is that. So yeah, they heard that you're good at getting things done, and even to the point of being able to put the spooks on Neva Rover, and asked that you assist them by going to Vesk 2 and rustling up a little bit of livestock for them. They're going to be paying you 1 ship share per for every 10 head of Defrexes that you bring back to Skitterhaven Ranch, with the bonus of 5 bill points if you can deliver at least 60 of the creatures. The ship can hold up to 100. They also give you a promise of some credits for completing the job.
2,000 credits for a single head, I believe.
If we
they'll pay you 2,000 credits if you bring back at least one head of Defrex. And we have to clarify for Jahir, when we say a head of Defrex, it still wants to be alive.
They say that heads can live on for a few minutes, don't they, after?
Yeah, but even with Trix's skills, you're not getting it from Vesk 2 to Vesk 3 in a couple of minutes.
Fair enough.
Can we
kill them as they get
deliver?
off.
Can we deliver the cattle in the same manner that we delivered the last batch of cargo? Just kind of leave it in an appropriate decaying orbit, that it'll land at the ranch in time.
I mean, if that's what you want, we can do it.
If you wanted it cooking, kind of. On re-entry, maybe?
Drop them in.
I'm just getting this mental image of 100 cows with parachutes now just getting halo dropped in, just like...
Is that a meteor storm? Oh god, no.
It's the meatiest storm I've seen.
Ayo.
Oh, we're gonna need 2 weeks off just to recover from some of this. You are going to require some form of... you haven't gone to Vesk 2 yet. When you get there, you're going to be needing some form of transportation, because trying to herd cattle on foot isn't going to work. And you've looked into your options. You've got Defrex mounts and engine cycles. Are 2 options that you've got there, but you'll need to source those locally. You've been given a contact at the Yeti Preserve, or the contact of the Yeti Preserve. You've purchased licenses so that this is legal. After a couple of attempts, one in crayon, to make forgeries. And you also picked up sound files of Defrex calls so that you can herd them a little bit. You're aware of flushing lizards, and you're aware of blood laws, but you've not picked up either of them. Your probably best place of getting them is also Yeti Preserve.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that, you head off to Vesk 2, I assume?
Yes.
Trix, make me a d6 roll.
Hey. 6.
As always, it takes 3 days to get from Vesk 2 to Vesk 3. From Vesk 3 to Vesk 2.
I would like to spend the last day in downtime contemplating exploring futures. I think it seems that Jahir, it will probably be our best, I don't know, cowboy? You've got the highest survival check, right?
I think I do, yeah.
Is anyone else trained in it? I think that's...
It will
Trained
allow
plus
for
6.
some roles for Flimsy down to his profession.
Okay, I'm gonna. I'm gonna work on like some sort of like nature gem, cowboy gem in the arcane lab as I'm like meditating on the mystical energies of the multiverse. And the next morning, Yeva will go and give it to Jahir. So that he can get a re-roll on 1d20 during our first day there.
Nice.
Very nice.
Just a little something, Jahir. you seem to be the most attuned to wilderness. So I thought you could. It would be nice if you could help me.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I can't wait. I'm so excited. It's like the happiest you've ever seen him. I think I say that every time, actually.
I'm glad you are.
Jahir is slowly learning what happiness is.
Yeah. Hopefully no blood this time. You know, I took your words. We will bring this cattle back alive. Dead or no, not dead or just alive.
Just alive.
Just alive. Just a quick question. You seem to know about fashion and things. Could I have a hat? Have I got a hat head?
I'm sure that Kasatas do wear hats. They just need to be specifically formed to the shape of your head, your cranium.
I did wonder how that worked, because I thought if it was petering on the top, it might look a bit stupid.
If you could find a very deep cowboy hat, perhaps that would work.
Sure.
They also have, by default, the Desperado balaclava face mask thing. The face covering. All Kasatha wear one. Because they found
John Wayne cloak.
They found the whole mouth region to be very personal, I think is the word.
I think there is some
Also
official art
flimsy,
floating around out there, but Kasatha without one, though. Very
Is
recent.
there?
It's like last year, I think it came out. Maybe.
I
I've got my
need to
face
look
mask in the
into that.
pocket. Should I put that on?
I know it's very against the norm that they show their face.
Yeah, it's very against the norm, and it's one of them where it's one of them written rules that it's like they never show their faces. Even the most liberal of them, it's still a thing that they always have. I've not seen one without the face mask. I'm kind of curious to know what's going on underneath there. It's just one of them curiosities.
The chin is a very erogenous zone. It has to be kept hidden. Who knows what kind of... let's just not go there.
Nope.
So yeah, that happened. Is anybody else doing anything for the downtime while traveling?
Anything I could look at was looking for bargains, maybe towards trying to find us a discounted mount of some kind, but I don't know whether or not that's going to have to be done on the ground.
It's likely to be having to done in person, and you do sort of like shop around a little bit when you start coming in, but it seems to be pretty much franchised. That everything is the Yeti Preserve. Single T, as I noted in your message.
So it's a much more excitable Yip Preserve.
Yes, everybody should be well rested. Let me just take care of the resting for you. No, wrong button. No.
It's a double-edged sword with the drift, because 3 days is the longest we can get on our current drive. But it also means we get 3 days of rest, which is very useful if any of us get banged up in particularly bad shape.
Yeah, hopefully to a certain degree you don't end up getting in terrible bull shape and you all feel a lot better by the end of it. Jahir filed some very quick paperwork to rename themselves, apparently, to just 25.
Wondering why I didn't type it in the box. Yeah, just 25 now.
I am a master of doing
branded
that.
on
Don't worry about it.
It's just one of them where it's like it happens. But so yes, you enter orbit and Trix. You manage to find a landing site near the location that you have been advised, which is close to Karudi Canyon. and a small settlement. And here you can see the Yeti Preserve.
Sweet. I spent the past 3 days watching space cowboy things, streaming space cowboy things while flying. I know exactly how to drive a cattle rancher thing.
Are we thinking more city slickers or?
Well, one of them was cowboy boop beep.
Beep boop space boy.
There wasn't any cattle ranching in that though.
I guess the nice thing about being on Vesk 2 is that wherever we're herding, it's not like there's going to be a lot of land to manage. It's just lots of small islands.
Would the reserve be an island rather than like?
It is. I mean, it's all islands.
You
But
don't have to worry
one thing
about
we
putting
know for
fences
sure
up.
is no man is an island.
All right, you've arrived. What are you doing now?
Shopping.
Are there any swinging saloon doors anywhere we can sidle our way through?
There is, if you desire. Yes, the entry to the Yeti Preserve is a swinging saloon door.
I'm just
Does
imagining.
it have a souvenir shop? That's very important.
It has a touristy kind of shop, yes. Maybe for souvenirs, maybe for the local sort of like slice of culture that has been slightly misappropriated, but they're making a buck of it, so nobody cares.
I'm just imagining all of these Ijtikris in like chaps and cowboy hats and vests. They're just hanging over their tentacles.
They have a chap per tentacle? Or what's the chap etiquette in this kind of situation?
So, yeah, shopping.
That's Trix's problem. Trix figuring out how Ishtikris wear chaps. You're the artist.
Chap on every
One big
tentacle
chap.
underneath, and then a couple of them like don't have them, which were they used for their arms.
He slowly takes the chaps off of his arms.
So we're looking for flushing lizards, blood lures, some kind of mount. Maybe a guide would be helpful.
Or at least coordinates.
That's true.
How many mounts do we need? I mean, I'd like a real one, but I get the feeling that some of you aren't keen on having a living mount beneath you.
As you were entering this establishment, who's inside and who stayed outside? Is anybody staying outside, or is everybody going into the gift shop?
I'm
Definitely
going in.
going to
I
the
want to
gift
find a
shop,
hat.
Definitely.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you see on your way in, there's sort of like a bunch of engines, energy cycles, sort of like just motorcycle style outside of the saloon, racked up, as well as a sort of like a small stable area with a few Defrexes. Well, rental is per day. If you want the engine cycles, they'll cost you 70 credits a day. If you're new to this, and if you think you got the skills to handle it, I'd highly recommend your own Defrex mount. But that'll run you the cost of 500 credits a day.
Do we
That
know
even
how
for the
long we're
lamest
likely? Do we know how long this is going to take as an endeavor?
A day, hopefully.
Yeah, like it's 2 days. It's really adding up.
A longer.
Yeah, you're probably, Flimsy, you're probably aware, but this isn't likely to take much longer than a day.
Okay, cool. before we start throwing some credits down on stuff. We do have credits for the adventure. We've got, was it 1,858 to spend on the... well, we don't want to spend all of it, but that's the party loot I guess we've got.
Right, and I was going to say, the more days we take, the more Defrex we can collect, the more ship shares we earn. They said that at minimum they're looking for, what was it, 50? 60?
60.
We could go up to 100.
Can fill the cargo bay as much as we can.
Mm-hmm. It'd be stinky, but...
Well, what would it be, folks?
Only one of us, and presumably only one of us, can actually handle a Defrex mount.
I'll
cover
be
the
definitely
costs.
using a motorbike.
That is something that I... Sorry. Jahir.
I was just going to say, Jahir cover the difference with his own credits.
That's a lot to cover.
But how much...
He really wants to go on a horse. Sorry, a Defrex.
Because how much easier is it? The whole point of the Defrex mount is that it doesn't spook the Defrex as much.
Mm-hmm.
They're more receptive to the commands, and there's some spooking involved, etc. Flimsy, make me a profession check.
Not bad. 24.
I think the easiest way for me to do this is out of character. On a Defrex mount, the DC is 14. On an engine cycle, the DC is 19. Also, on the Defrex, it's likely to be, if it's just related to the handling of the mount, a survival check. For the engine cycles, it's more likely to be a piloting check. You can also choose to go on foot, which makes the DCs 24.
Oh my god.
Would it be even higher for Flimsy with the 20-foot movement speed?
Would it potentially make sense, Eva, looking at our notes, if we put Jahir on the mount and had him leading the herd? Like, they would more likely be following him?
Yeah, if we've got at least one of these big beasties out to lead, that would be very useful. I don't think it's very likely, but would Quartermaster Livestock Specialist be able to use that to control a Defrex mount?
It depends on the nature of the check that you're having to do at the time. So if it's just plodding along, leading the train, yes, I'll allow it. If it's calming the animal in a combat situation, no, it is survival.
Okay.
So it might help in some cases, but it's not going to help in all cases, and you don't know what is coming up yet.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I think... Look, I'm not going to be of much use interacting directly with the Defrex, but I can take it to one of the inner cycles and, go away from the herd, place blood lures, or play calls and whatnot. That might... I could see myself maybe doing that at the most. Sorry.
I mean, I can help with Jahir riding the Defrex. I mean, how hard can it be?
Are we loading them straight onto the ship, or are they going into like a holding area?
Holding area first off.
Would it be worth maybe if I erected some sort of cattle storage pens or something on to keep them all organized when they don't squish each other in the cargo bay?
We could get the interns to work on that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Or we could put them in the holodeck and make it like their natural environment. But I'm guessing
I
they'd
don't
have to
think
go
that's
up the
going to work
lift.
twice.
We'd have to get one up
That's-
a lift first.
I was going to say that's going to require going up and down in the lift with a lot of defracts.
Where's Oben?
Probably already selling some food.
Does Oben have any skills like this? Useful skills?
Zobin is a chef. They
So
do
we
not
could
have any.
probably cook one of them.
Weirdly, Zobin's got plus 12 to survival. Which never realised.
He's one with the animals.
Well, if we cut into 2 days, I do think it is useful having at least one Defrex mount. So I will offer to help cover costs for the mount. I think that would be useful.
We can take it from the earnings from our last mission. It should cover it. If the three of the rest of us are on inner cycles, we should be able to cover the cost,
Okay, so
even for a couple of days.
that covers transportation then.
Tricks, are you using an energy cycle or the goblin junk cycle that you've got?
Probably the energy cycle.
Fair enough. It's a reasonable choice, less chance of backfire and things going wrong.
Because for Flimsy probably could ride one of these Defrex, but I don't know whether or not it's worth the risk if things go hairy, which of course they won't. Relying on a +0 for survival.
Trix can definitely ride them, but I don't think it's worth us having more than one.
Right, I mean, with just the one, we're already spending 710 credits a day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot to invest in it. Cool.
Okay, so that covers transportation.
Do you also have anything in the way of flushing lizards or blood lures for sale here?
The Blood Lords are on a shelf behind you, and you look at the shelf and it's got a number of Blood Lords. The price tag reads 50 credits each. They are single use. As for a flushing lizard, I can rent you one. They're rather specific in purpose. Only really useful for getting the Defrexes riled up, but some cases that's what you need. You're looking at 100 credits per day for renting one of those.
Better than a bike. So what's that? 800.
Bikes don't really need training.
So 100 per day, so we'll be at 810 with the lizard.
And plus any blood lures we want to get.
I'm going to buy 2 blood lures personally, blood lords, because they give a +2 to coercing. Right? I have that written down.
The scent of blood attracts Defrexes. Single use of blood can be purchased at the preserve for 50 credits. A blood law gives a +2 item bonus to certain checks.
Certain types. Okay. So I'm going to buy 2 personally just because I'm going to need all the bonuses I can get if I have to do something.
Yeah, Trix will buy 2 as well,
Same.
just in case.
It's not an item for this, right? It's got to add it into our inventory manual.
Yeah, you're going to have to add these things in manually.
How's it not in the?
It's not even giving me those items in the book. It's just paragraphs of these are things that they can have.
I'm going to hold up a small cage with a lizard in it and offer it to Trix. You like little critter things, right? Do you want to keep hold of this?
Yes.
Little lizardy guy?
I'll introduce you to Ixit.
I've called him Dunkari.
We don't get to keep him though, right?
No, he's just a rental, sadly. You're going back to your bosses, aren't you, later, little fella? Want you being very, very useful for us?
And we'll let out this loud, shrill bark at you.
I love him.
Will that be all?
Do you have any hats?
What kind of hats?
Well, it's a gift shop.
Authentic.
Defrex boy person hats.
Defrex boy, that's so good.
The gift shop is over there, and you go to the gift shop section, and you see a number of hats of different styles for both style of hat and also style of head. Some of which are adjustable because the galaxy is a big place and they need to have lots of hats with lots of adjustments to make room for different size heads. You see jeans, chaps, camping supplies for if you wanted to do that whole, camping out on the range kind of vibe to things.
If we got specific types of like Defrex boy clothing, could we potentially receive a +1 circumstance bonus to these checks?
For looking for parts.
Well, because like athletic
You could buy them as
wear,
professional
wear, like they give the +1 circumstance bonus.
How much is professional wear?
Like 10 credits, I think.
It is 5 credits.
Then yes, I will allow it. Sorry, that was my
Costume
fault.
change.
Yeah.
So we get a cosplay discount.
For 5 credits, no, you're not getting a discount.
It's just 5 credits, so we're gonna have professional clothing, Defrex.
I mean, maybe you should have asked for a discount on everything else, but
Well, please, these people need the money.
Oh, wow.
That's their opinion too. We need the money. That's why they doubled the prices when we walked in.
Yeah, smell the tourist a mile off.
And so how much is coming out of the party funds? Is it the lizard, the mounts?
Just a
So
little
that's
bit of that,
I think that's it.
110.
Yeah, 800.
And everybody else is buying blood lords and the cowboy suits, Defrex boy suits individually. Yes.
I think. Yes.
Okay. I shall take that off the party funds. Still got over 1,000 in there. 1,048.
If the gift shop section has got one of those little key rings with all the names on it, would it be like thousands and thousands of key rings on it? Because we get visitors from all different worlds. Got hats for every species, key ring for every planet.
It's more I love Vesk too.
There you go.
Yeti preserve with a cute little mascot on it.
Chibified Defrex, which looks particularly cute, but when you go out and you've seen the stables, it's like, that is not a cute thing. It's like comparing a teddy bear to a grizzly bear kind of style.
So when Yeva comes out of the, the stall, like pulls back the curtain, she's wearing like a flat-brimmed black hat with these like boots on and these denim jeans that have like very tastefully like glitter stars on them. She's going for sort of like a glam cowgirl look. And she's wearing like a Defrex leather vest with like fringe. No, it's a leather jacket, like a with fringe on the along her arms.
It's a look.
Lindsay's probably wearing a Cathathan-sized 10-gallon hat, so that he's averaging the same height as everybody else now. The tallest hat that he can find, and a Defrex boy style bandana, but like over his beard so you can see it. His beard's like tucked in underneath this. He's like a real cowboy. Defrex boy.
Anybody gone for the tribal poncho?
Oh yeah, Trix will rock that, but she's also rocking the neckerchief because they wanted to.
And Jahir?
Well, Jahir's pretty much there with his cape, isn't he? He did try on the hat, and then he realised that he didn't like the feel of the seam on the top of his head, so he just took the bone sword and just cut the top out. So he's just slid it down his head now. So it's a 10-gallon hat with a hole, and then his head carries on out the top. But he's put sun cream on. It's fine.
Sun cream will run you another 5 credits. And you. All right. Well, don't you look sort
Professional. Professional is the word you're looking for.
Could Jahir check, like, have a look at the mounts? I take it there's more than one being offered, with a view to picking one out potentially and seeing if it's slightly better statistically than others, and maybe getting a little bonus.
Nice.
Make me a survival check.
Flimsy possibly assist with this?
That is a natural 20 for a 26. I want that gold-plated one.
You come. So there are different ones with slightly different personalities. You're pretty much guided to one that looks a little bit worse for wear, a little bit long in the tooth, shall we say. It's calm. You know, you walk up to it, you prod it around a bit, and it doesn't react aggressively towards you. But at the same token, it's one of them where it's like, is this going to actually get going when I rear it into action? Until you look around, there's another one that's way too aggressive, even for your liking. It's all like, it's one of us isn't going to come back alive from this, and you'll be damned if it's you who doesn't come back alive. And they do stipulate that if you don't return these, then there is an additional fee. It doesn't tell me what the additional fee is, but please return them. But then you sort of like isolate one, and it's got a bit of it's got a bit of a cockiness and sass to it. You know, when you sort of like go over to it and sort of like try to mount it, it just rears up and tries flinging you onto the ground. But you anticipate this and manage to jump off and just stand there looking at it as sort of like, what are you doing, as it's rolling around in the dirt trying to crush you when you're not underneath it. And it just kind of looks a little bit deflated, a little bit sort of like, I feel a little bit silly for doing that. But then when you go to mount it again, it allows you to mount it.
It does that thing cats do when they get embarrassed and just starts grooming itself excessively.
What, do you hear, or the Defrex?
But yes, for the purposes of this, give yourself, I'm going to say a +2.
+2 to what?
Your survival checks while using the mount.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Is it a boy or a girl?
Boy.
You?
Oh. Jahir's just going to sort of cut it, like, you know, start sort of whispering into its ear, a Defrex whisperer. It'd be, it's okay, Mr. Spudsy. We've got this. You can do this. We're a team.
You're a good boy.
You know, Mr. Spudsy's just not ever coming away. He's coming on the ship with us. He's going to get his own room.
What kind of sleight of hand would we have to do to swap out one of the ones that we wrangle up with Mr. Spuds instead?
A Trojan Defrex.
You've got a 1 in 100 chance of finding a Defrex that looks just like this one.
You're saying it's not impossible.
Tricks like
No, I'm not making it impossible. I'm saying it's a 1 in 100 chance. So you're going to need to secure 100 Defrex. You're going to need to identify the one that looks just like it. And then you're going to have to roll a deception check, like your lives depend on it when returning them. Because somebody's life is likely to depend on this. Because an untrained Defrex is not suitable for riding.
What if we can train one enough just to allow it to be ridden?
In less than a day. But we'll see. First of all, you got to find the 1 in 100.
We've not even found one yet, to be fair.
Well, he's found the one.
Yeah.
Have to find another
soulmate. Jahir and Mr. Spudsy, right again.
Gonna have to look up how much it's gonna cost to feed those things.
Oh.
I like how we're this far in and you're still surprised that I want to adopt every living and non-living item that I ever come across.
I'm not surprised. It's one of them where I should really start making up some stuff ahead of time for making sure that it's, don't forget this is going to cost you, 20 credits a day to keep it fed.
Next week, Jahir adopts a moon.
So yeah, you are, as far as I am aware, all kitted up.
Yeehaw.
So Flimsy will sidle up to the barkeep and kind of like try to casually lean on the side and lift his hat up a little bit. So have you seen any of them rustling Defrex around here anywhere? Defrex even, sorry. That's real as well, I guess. He doesn't know what he's doing.
If you're looking to acquire some, your best chances over at Katharudi Canyon. There's some trails along those parts and plenty of dead ends to park your ship in and rustle them into.
That's useful. Well, thank you very much, partner. Anything we need to watch out for out there in the wilds?
Have you got the licenses in check?
I kind of flashes it on his chest, like wearing it like a sheriff's badge.
Freshly printed.
It's
That's an old
laminated.
space joke.
Well, yeah, if you got that, you should be good to go. Good luck out there. Try not to get trampled.
Hey, look at us. Look at us. We're professionals. We've got this.
Yeah, I'm looking at you. Try not to get trampled.
Our clothes are super clean. Haven't seen a lick of dust nor dirt.
I think that we look great.
Oh yeah, you look dapper.
All right. Yeva's bobbing her head. Okay. Maybe after we do this, when we finish the job, we go square dancing or something.
I'm up for that. Even heard of the Cathasan cube dancing. You require 0 G for that.
The dangerous thing. Always in 0 G.
Do we have coordinates for Katharudi Canyon?
Yeah, you managed to gather these off the infosphere.
Okay.
Cool. Well, kid, it's been good. We'll see you again. And sidle out of the unnecessary.
This is somewhat of an older gentleman, and when you say kid, it's just like dwarves.
Be good to your mother. See you later.
What's my mother got to do with any of this? And you climb back aboard the ship?
Yeah, we'll load up our inner cycles and a hopefully trained Defrex.
Yeah, the Defrex is definitely trained. It is not going to cause you any problems. As long as nobody goes poking it with a sharp stick or something. And you fly off to Karudi Canyon?
That's good. Can we see a decent spot for landing, or maybe see if we can spy a herd even from up here?
Make me perception checks.
What's the climate on the planet?
The climate here is it's your traditional western dusty canyons, dust bowl kind of situation.
So, is it, what time of day is it? Really specific questions, but there's a reason.
Probably about mid-morning.
It's high noon.
So we're on one of the poles of the planet. Just looking at the planet map, it looks like the poles, the North and South Pole, are the dusty sort of canyon situation. I don't see Kathroti Canyon on this map, which is they probably weren't thinking about. I don't know if they were thinking about Defrex wrangling when they drew it, or maybe I missed it.
Oh yeah, well, maybe near the Phantom Gate or the Frozen Watch.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a canyon on there either. Although there is the Jackalee mountain range. There's a couple of mountain ranges in the northern and the southern. The Inkari Mountains. They look like they've also got sort of like dust bowl-y qualities.
I see.
Or plains, at least. Let me just double check something that I'm not made a mistake. And you're supposed to be on Vesk 3 or something.
No, because Yeti Preserve is here, in the southern part of the planet.
Oh, is the Yeti Preserve actually here?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be somewhere near there, I would assume.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe as Flimsy said, by the Phantom Gate. Which I gotta go pull out my Near Space copy and see what the hell the Phantom Gate is.
It's not ominous at all. Swallows more ranchers every year than you'd believe.
Yeah, that's all good then. So yes, we've got a Jahir. Are you just sort of like admiring yourself in the mirror, or are you making a perception check out the windows?
No, I've already done it. I scored it.
Not Jahir, Yeva.
Yeva? Sure, with her +1. 15.
All right, we got a 19 from Flimsy, 22 from Trix, 8 from Jahir, and a 15 from Yeva. Trix, as always, she managed to sort of like isolate a location which isn't going to be too difficult to land in. You identify a couple of places. Flimsy, make me a profession check to go with it.
Okay. It's a 9 from Flimsy.
With the assistance of Trix pointing out the locations, you're unable to sort of like ascertain, which would be the more popular or the preferential place, as it were.
Yeah.
So, where do you want to land?
I've not done canyon herding before. Sorry, Trix. Guess whatever your gut goes with.
My gut is saying right there.
Suddenly the ship just lurches off to the right. You're sure you hear something clatter around in the cargo bay, but it's probably fine.
Probably just
It's
a
the
goblin.
goblins.
And you bring it into land, and it's pretty much this box canyon with just the one route in and out. So to a certain degree, it's kind of ideal for the location for if you get to herd them to this point, then you'll be able to not have to corral them in. The box canyon will be a natural corral, as it were.
Makes sense. Just getting there.
So, you all mount up on your various different mounts. And you set off into the canyons proper. And you ride out after a fashion, like traditional Defrex folk. Let's have a survival check.
From anyone? Or
Everyone.
everyone?
From everyone to begin with.
N.
Can we
18.
can we add our +1 with our outfits?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, you can add your +1 for outfits.
19.
The +1, that
13.
makes 2.
13.
And Tricks, you managed to start spotting tracks, dens, scat, and other signs of Defrex. And you take a quick look around, and it's if you were to start driving them from here, then you'd be securing these few. But you would have to be constantly going out and back in again, out and back in again, which is effective at securing them quickly, but also it's going to be the most time consuming, because what you're probably best off doing is actually going out as far as the tracks will allow, and then circling back and driving them all en masse from the end towards the ship. If you get what I mean.
Mm.
A full drive.
But then we've got a bigger herd to contend with.
But you're more likely to get it done within the day, whereas if you were to scoop them in as you come across them, you'd be securing some of them, but because of all the back and forth, you're likely to have to spend day to get some of them, might even have to stretch into a second day. So it's an either all at once and hope for the best, or bit by bit by bit, but it could take longer.
Do we know how big?
Well, it's going to take longer, sorry.
Okay. Sorry, go on, Jay.
I was going to say, could we not set up like a base and then we'll draw them into a central point? Like a natural sort of ravine or cave area, or...
Well, that's where you park the ship. So you're at the end of this long canyon, as it were. And you're going to... You can either go partway through the canyon, find some Defrexes and move them back towards the ship. or you can go to the other side of the canyon and start driving them all back to the ship.
I see what you mean.
It's going to be a bigger herd, and it's getting it all done at once. But it's going to be, if mistakes are made or accidents happen, then you're going to lose a portion. It's up to you guys how you want to handle this.
Do we know how big the big herd would be if we were to get all of it? If it's like 200 big, we can afford to lose some. If it's 80, then we'd be pushing it.
You're not quite sure. You're just at the start of the day, start of the canyon, but there is plentiful Defrex tracks around.
What, for giving it one big push? How does everyone else feel?
Yeah, I think it'd be the
One
best
big
way.
push sounds easier. Well, quicker.
Could we agree on some kind of sort of like whistles or calls or signs to, make sure that we're all on the same page, as it were?
What about yeehaw?
Well, obviously, like when they heard like sheepdogs and that, they have like come by and hear and things like that, don't they? So Jahir maybe needs to sheepdog the crew a little bit.
You tell us what you want to shout at us and we'll follow the orders.
I was just dangling for some more bonuses.
And then you might have gotten away with doing on your way over here as part of the coordinated downtime activity. But now you're here, it's, you could give abbreviated sentences, but they're not going to be much, and it'd probably be a disadvantage in the long run, as you have to give the abbreviated instruction and then explain it.
We'll be on comms either way, but yes, maybe I do think that starting big and seeing what we can get makes sense to me.
If we lose someone, we need to go out and get some more. We may as well do that after we've tried to get the big herd, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any cost associated to the goblins building us some pens in the cargo bay?
Gonna go with no.
Okay.
What did you tell them exactly?
I forgot the name. Was Fleagreeb, was that one of them? Am I just making noises?
No, that sounds like one of them.
Listen,
Rattle, Snarp, Flea, Grebe, and Goog.
Get the attention of
Somebody
Fleagreeb.
cared enough to remember their names.
It's on a different tab. I just don't care enough to change tabs. Fleagreeb, listen, you need to make a series of look at this creature here and kind of point towards Jahir's Defrex, and make pens big enough to hold, say, 4 of these at a time, as many as you can, up to storing 100 of these little fellas, with some passageways in between to feed them at the back and feed them at the front, that kind of business. Maybe draw a little drawing for them so that it's not that confusing.
Yep.
And spring-loaded gates.
Okie dokie.
Trix is very interested as to what they're going to build this out of.
Well, that's why I was like, I'm happy to give them some UPBs to build some stuff with.
Trying to think. How many UPBs do you have?
250.
Yeah, they'll take it.
Cool, to 250 to build it.
Yep.
Makes
Your
sense if it's-
supply of UPBs.
Yeah, if it's going to secure the cattle when we get back, that's no problemo.
I was hoping that you were going to show them a picture of the Defrex and they make just pens, tiny little ones. 'Cause that's how big the picture was.
Luckily, we had one on board.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
You spend a good few hours riding out to the other side of the canyon. It's probably getting on for about... We're going to be using a 24-hour clock because I don't know how long the days are here. But it's about 1 o'clock, the other side. As Trix keys out of existence and goes into stealth mode. That's
fun.
that is fun. Bear with Trix while we sort out whatever that is.
That was which one for work?
I'd accidentally managed to click on my Logitech thing and it just swapped over. Sorry about that.
Trix has got one of those camouflage belts.
Yeah.
Hollow thing so that she can impersonate other people. Mm-hmm. She tried to impersonate the GM. Nobody's taking over. So yeah, it's about 1 o'clock by the time that you arrive at the other end of this canyon, and you see a reasonable herd of Defrex. A good starting point, a good 30 strong head of Defrex.
God, I'm nervous.
Only 30.
You passed a lot more on the way here, but you didn't want to, you made mental notes of where they were so that you're going to basically dot your way back and hopefully getting this herd to join the previous 30 that you found and the other 20s and the 10s here and there, that kind of touch.
And a snowball the herd.
Yeah.
Is it possible to get a sense of the mood of the herd? Can we sense motive of the herd? Are they afraid of predators? Are they afraid of us?
Give me I want to say survival, but I know that's a terrible thing for you. I'll allow you to do a profession check on this one.
Profession.
Or survival, Jahir, if you want to chime in.
It's a professional, don't you know? A 15?
10 again, plus 3, so 13.
They just seem to be grazing at this stage. They've noted you. They're a little bit defensive about these things, but they don't seem to be aggressive towards you.
Looks like we've got our first catch of the day. How do you want to do this, Jahir?
I mean, I don't think we should make any loud noises and spook them. Let's just start softly, and then if things go badly, we can then adapt and overcome.
A good plan.
All right. So we all maybe go along the outside and then start moving them in direction of ship, huh?
Form like a line and push them down.
Maybe if you make like a V shape with sort of me at the back and you towards the sides.
Mm-hmm. Lindsay's got a lot of rope if that's going to be any use.
No.
I think we just might get tangled up in it.
Yeah, it's likely to get tangled up, and the other thing is one of them could sort of like charge the rope and then just bring two of you to smash together like a bolus.
Limothy, but why don't you take left and right sides, and Trix, you're pretty nimble. Why don't you sort of be ready to dart in any direction just in case, and then I'll start pushing them along from the back.
Sounds good. I'll quietly steer the inner cycle to the left.
And I'll quietly steer to the right.
As you saw, like, get in position, and Jahir starts bringing up the rear and saw like almost prodding them into motion, just like getting close and just moving, starting to brush them. slow movement starts to build up in them as they all start to align, and it's like they don't want to go to the left because there's some weirdo on a cycle over there. They don't want to go to the right. There's another weirdo on a cycle over there. So they just start heading down this canyon as Jahir constantly keeps pushing to start bringing them up to speed. You're not after neck-breaking speed. You're just after a steady progress of you're not out here for the next 2 days just trying to nudge them along. And just as you get up to this comfortable speed, you see 10 of them, mainly adolescents, just start to dive off to the side. Break formation, as it were.
Is it the left or the right side?
Somebody call it heads or tails. It's the right side.
Ooh. I'm gonna start.
Fix. We've got breakers. Can you see them?
I've got them. I'm gonna run up. Well, not run up, but drive up and try and corral them back into formation.
We've got the boombox as well, right? It's a bit. I think it's too early to start breaking out the noises.
See if we can get them with the gentle encouragement and then start.
So just as a reminder of the calls, that is essentially going to allow you to automatically succeed at one check, but only one check.
Can we not replay the sound effect?
No, the whole thing just blows up in your head. I don't know. I didn't write these rules. They get used to the certain noises and can tell that they're artificial, so they stop paying attention to them after the first use. How's that?
Yeah, that's fair.
Message will self-destruct when written.
Those dodgy websites I got it from.
I think we should save that as a proverbial hits the fan, maybe.
Yeah, to a certain degree, I think I'll allow for them to be used reactively as well, a little bit. So that, if it looks like you're going to be making a mess of a check, I'll allow you to then incorporate them. Rather than saying, oh, you must use them beforehand, and because it's one of them where it's like, it's not bad if it's easily regenerated that you must declare it firsthand, but there's a penalty to that. But no, for a single-use guarantee, I'll allow you to declare it after the fact. So Trix, you're taking care of this one, and as you sort of pick up speed to try to head them off and bring them back into the fold, you notice that they're just charging straight along into this little bit of a ditch, and it's all it flattens out at the other side and drops away, but this ditch actually has sort of jagged rocks across the bottom of it. So what you're looking to try and do here is maneuver, not only just to catch up to them, but to get ahead of them so you can swerve them away from this ditch. Or because otherwise you and them are going to go down into that ditch. Or you could back away right now.
Nope, I'm going for it.
All right, make me a piloting check.
That's a 29, a 30 if I get my professions bonus, or professional outfit bonus.
I agreed to it earlier, although I don't know why. That is a 30.
It's because you love fashion, Chiron.
I just love the amount of detail that you put into the fashion to convince me that it's a great idea. But at the same token, it's 29, 30 doesn't make any difference. It's high 20s roll right there, and you manage to get ahead of them, and as they're sort of like coming along, you're pretty much teetering on the edges, you're sort of like kicking them back into formation, and they finally relent before you manage to sort of like bring the engine cycle back over from the edge and course correct back down to the next part of the drive.
Boom.
Well wrangled, Trix.
Told you it was easy. Don't know why we were worrying.
Trix manages to like rear up the inner cycle like a horse somehow.
Yeva
Don't question these things.
grabs her hat and spins it. It's like, woo! She's like getting into it. On her energy cycle, it's twice the size of everyone else's.
All right. So you continue along this canyon for a ways. You manage to pick up another couple of outliers. While they are herding animals, they do sort of enjoy the independence and freedom that this canyon allows them to a certain degree. And you manage to pick up another 10 heads. When unfortunately, your bike just goes down underneath you as the canyon floor begins to just collapse.
Ah!
Make me a reflex save.
What? Gee. I'm assuming I don't get a +1 for my outfit with this.
No, you don't.
Okay, here goes. Oh, 7.
I wasn't actually expecting you to fail this one. One more. All right.
It was almost a 20, and then I hit a 2. With her +2 piloting, she's like barely able to steer this thing properly.
So yeah, unfortunately the ground just drops away from you as you it seems to have either been illusionary or set up in this way, potentially as like some kind of poaching trap, as the bike just goes down sideways and you're left hanging onto it as you slam into these spikes and take 8 points of piercing damage. Oof. As you are scattered. There's no penalty on 5 or more, which is a good thing. As you just sound like the bike is just crunching through these spikes and you're following along, getting all kinds of jabs of rock in your side and the rest of it. The Defrex, luckily you were sort of like on the edge and they just sort of like steer around. What's everybody else doing?
Flimsy's got his rope if he can go and throw it to Eva to help them get out of this mess.
We've got to
pull
the energy cycle out too.
Yeah.
All right.
Just going to stay with the herd.
And Eva? No, Jahir, sorry.
Jahir's going to move slightly sort of halfway between the straight back and, was it the left-hand side? Just to try and pick up the gap, but not too far as to let him slip back through.
Yeah, so Jahir, Trix, the herd starts to lose a bit of momentum. It's not a great concern. You're still early enough in the day without everybody else around. You're able to keep them contained in as much as you need to, but at the same token, you're leaving Jahir and Yeva. Gee, don't know why I keep confusing Jahir and Yeva.
The J and the Y.
Yeah. Yeaver and Flimsy, Flimsy, you cycle on over there and pull up to the side. You see Yeaver is sprawled out on the floor. Looking a little bit worse for wear.
Just her outfit that's taken all the damage so far.
Oh,
Eva, your hat looks terrible. Are you okay?
Stop it! Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine. We must get the energy cycle out of here somewhere. Is it like a pit that I've fallen into, like a poaching trap pit?
Yeah, it is pretty much a pit.
Here, tie this to your energy cycle and get on the board. I'll tie it to this end. I'll try and tow you out.
Okay. So, she'll kind of hop on. Oh God. Maybe I should try climbing out first. She's hundreds of pounds, hundreds and hundreds. She's being a large creature.
Okay. Maybe you know better than I would. No judgments.
Let me try climbing out first. I'm gonna take the rope and tie it around, and then with my -2 athletics.
Flimsy, you're just holding on to the other end?
I've got it tied to the end of the cycle.
I think.
Okay.
So I will use the rope to climb up. That's tied, because it's I can use that and hold onto it and then put my feet on the wall essentially, and that should make this an easier climb.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Here I go. Here I come.
Make me an athletics check.
That was a 2.
Flimsy, make me an athletics check.
Okie dokie.
Or a piloting check, actually.
Oh, pilot check, cool.
Well, it depends. Are you stood by the bike trying to haul up the rope by hand, or are you gunning it with the bike?
I don't keep it taut by revving the engine just the right amount.
So it'll be a piloting check, yeah.
I need to look at my athletics. There's something weird there. I shouldn't have that much. Here we go. See if I can keep it steady. Hold it steady. It's a 19.
Either to a certain degree, you do unfortunately lose your footing as you're trying to come up this wall, and you tumble to your side. But in doing so, that removes what little friction you were more pulling on the bike than trying to pull yourself up. With that remove of friction, Flimsy just manages to gain some traction and start driving, and you're pretty much dragged up the side of this and deposited on the side of the pit trap.
Gets up, dusts herself off.
Oh, it doesn't look that bad.
No, should be fine.
Let's get your... not your wheels. Let's get your hover thing out of there and let's get going. Just flooring it. Pull the rest of the bike out.
Wait, is it tied to the bike?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, flooring it does get the rest of the bike out. However, it is a bit worse for wear. The bike itself, you're going to need to patch this up.
Yiva, do you want to get back on the line on this, and I'll try and get this thing repaired and come catch up with you? Getting off the bike.
I can, sure.
Just thinking the speed of the vehicles, is that actually a realistic possibility? Am I going to be forever behind?
They're having to go at the speed of the Defrex.
Of course,
cycle.
Yeah.
You'll be able to catch them up.
I'll be there. Wait a minute. Bye.
It would take me 10 minutes to cast Mending once, so it'd probably be faster for you to buff it out, I guess.
Cool. Flimsy's going to reach into his bag and pull out his animistic tools.
Can I even use your energy cycle? Because it's so much smaller.
Oh, did we buy a big energy cycle?
I'm assuming mine is large.
I was going more on the assumption that yours can't take a passenger. So The engine cycles have a 1-passenger limit. So they've essentially taken out the divide between the seats for the driver and the passenger and flung that to one side, and you're basically sat in it. It's a clip-on, clip-off kind of job. It takes Flimsy 2 minutes, not even 2 seconds, to basically unclip the backrest so you can jump on his. But if you start running out of vehicles for whatever reason, nobody else is going to be riding along shotgun with you.
All right, okay. All right, see you later. Or
Good
soon,
luck.
hopefully.
And
Go on, sorry.
Jahir, Trix, either you catch up in next to no time without a drive behind the herd. It slowed pretty much to a crawl. Jahir and Trix were pretty much keeping it in place. Are you going to continue the drive or wait until for Flimsy?
Yeah, I mean, I assume we can communicate with them. You know, do you need us to slow us down, or can we just keep going? They're going at a good speed, so I'd rather not try and slow them down.
No, I don't think those Defrex are going to get the speed of one of these inner cycles can handle. I'm sure I'll catch up to you shortly. Just keep the cargo going.
Let us know if you need any help.
I will do. Dodging laser fire. Tusken Raiders.
All right, make me an engineering check.
Cool. Flimsy's going to crack out his animistic tools, which helps him relate to mechanical items if they are broken. And be like, come, like stroking the energy cycle, like, come on now, Daisy, you know you can do it. Come on, it's going to be okay. Just lets him do a re-roll if this goes awfully terribly. So let's find out. Ooh, it's a 29.
And you manage to patch up the cycle, and the engine in the back of your mind seems to reverberate with this sigh of relief. It's an odd sensation for you because you're kind of used to this from your machines, but it's always an external stimuli to you. This seems to be just this deep, guttural roar of satisfaction and relief that's emanating from the back of your mind.
Don't worry about it, Daisy. We'll get you back somewhere safe. Come on, let's go.
And
shoot off through the canyons.
You shoot off through the canyons. As you're driving the cattle along, Yether, Jahir, and Trix, you see above you in the air a couple of vehicles, flyers of some descript, just sort of like shoot overhead, and one of them sort of like comes, sort of like banks round and starts coming to land towards your location.
How big of a ship? Like a single person thing or a big?
It's multi-person. Make me a culture check.
It's the Millennium Falcon.
That is a 17.
Yep. It looks to be on the scale of military to civilian. It's more on the military side, but it's not high-class military. It's equipped for a fight, but it's more likely to be private security than it is military spec.
Not an official Veskarium vessel, then, perhaps.
Make me a culture check.
19.
It very well could be a official Veskarium.
Okay. They could just be checking in to see if we've got our licenses. We should all be all on the up and up. But that pit I fell in felt like an illusion, and hopefully these aren't poachers who are mad at us for. Well, I guess we're not poaching the poachers, but either way.
Either way, we were here first.
And we're legal.
Is it coming into land like next to our ship, or is it between us? And our ship?
You're nowhere near your ship at the moment, and it is coming down between you and your ship. So you're driving the cattle down this canyon. It's a big, long canyon. It took you half a day to get to the other end. And you're coming up to about halfway to get back. And it's coming into land in front of you. So the Defrex are naturally trying to slow down as not to try and run into the side of this thing.
Yeah, we'll slow them down. There's no use trying to
force them around it.
Or through it.
Over it. Can we hail them, or whatever the Starfinder term for hailing them is?
Yeah,
Calling.
I'll
Shout.
As you sort of see them land, you see a number of Vesk, and these are Vesk, fairly well armed, more on the casual side rather than strict military side of clothing, protection, armor. And they start to approach you.
She does the international symbol for peace. Intergalactic, rather.
Is anyone able to get in front so we don't have to fully stop this cattle? Or
the cattle is probably going to stop itself.
right, okay. So
and they come up to you, Yaver, and it's like, this preserve is under the official protection of the Scarium. What is your business here?
We're wrangling, and she pulls up her license and says we've paid the licensing fees. We were recommended this location from the...
He pretty much snatches it out of your hand and begins to inspect it.
Okay, rude.
Briggs just leans on a cycle, really unimpressed.
All right, you check out. You, same reason? And he points to Tricks.
Yeah, and I toss him the license.
It lands just out of reach in front of him, and you can see this look of just absolute god damn it as he has to step forward and bend down to pick it up.
Ooh.
Scans over it and tosses it back. Make me a reflex save.
11.
It just goes over your fingertips and lands somewhere in the dust behind you. You, same reason?
yes, sir. We're all here for the same reason. And I'm still on my mount, and I'll obviously be over him quite. Oh, well, I should imagine by quite a bit.
Almost like we're a crew. Who'd have thunk it?
I just need to make sure the paperwork's in order. And he extends his hand up for your paperwork, Jahir.
Yep, I'll hand it to him.
Well, we've got a fourth member who's catching up with us. He needed to make some quick repairs to an energy cycle. If you care to wait with us, he should be here sooner rather than later. She smiles.
Make me a diplomacy check.
Smiles, blinks her eyes. 23.
Well, it's not every day we get people who are so cooperative about this. I appreciate it. Yep, we are going to have to wait for your companion to join us.
Of course, I wouldn't expect it any other way. And she sits on the edge of her cycle, crosses her leg, and clasps her hands together.
I assume you're in radio contact. Do you know how long he's going to be?
Flimsy, do you copy?
Hey, is everything okay with the herd?
Yes, we've got some official license checkers. Who need just
Ascarium.
The Ascarium is here to check on our licenses. So the herd is paused for now, and we're waiting for your arrival.
It's not Officer Spanana, is it?
No, I don't think so. But how long do you think it'll be?
I'll put my foot down and get there as soon as I can.
Maybe a 10-minute break.
About 10 minutes should do it.
Perfect. You have a flirt with the Vesk inspector.
Hey, I've not seen you around before, and those licenses are freshly minted. What's your deal?
Well, yes, of course. We're new to the system. We're the crew of the Fool's Gold, and we came out here on a job, and we've been picking up some jobs while we're out here. Visited Conqueror's Forge. What a wonderful ship. Cool place.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. It's one of our crowning achievements.
Mm-hmm. What was it? Night City? Dark City? Night City?
Night City, I think.
Night City and Star City was the other one, I think.
Dawn City? Anyway, carry on.
Night City was amazing. All the lights, all the sights. Jahir here got into quite a good fight in one bar. Managed to take 2 Vesk on at the same time.
That was the second best day ever now. Now this is the best day. We're herding cat. It's been like a holiday, hasn't it, really? We've just been doing everything Jahir likes doing. So.
Well, on our
for a
flight
bit of fighting, just a bit of playful roughhousing while we wait.
Yeah, I gotta keep the uniform clean or the boss will chew out my hide again.
Yeah. No, I know that excuse. Fair enough.
But I tell you something, on the flight over here, there's a little canyon just off a ways, and I saw about 20 of these Defrex just mulling around up there.
Wow.
Should be an easy grab.
Thank you for the tip,
Mr. Bossman, because we didn't have a
I'm
name.
so sorry. As soon as I started saying it, I was like, oh no, I shouldn't do this to him. Mr. Bossoman. Okay. Well, that's an interesting Vesk name.
I wonder if it's Vossman and we're just hearing it wrong.
Vossman. Yeah, that
Vossman.
makes sense.
Yeah, Vossman. Mr. Vossman. And at this point, Flimsy sort of like cycles into view. I keep saying cycles, and it reminds me of just Flimsy pedaling like a maniac.
I'm here. I fixed it wrong.
On his tricycle.
Do you ride a... Yeah, you ride a motorcycle, don't you?
Depends on whether you're tricks or not.
Why does it... So yeah, you ride into view and pull up short. You don't want to run these people over, or do you? Just rolling and banana.
Flimsy's used to
like a
being
wrecking
short. It's fine. Hello, officers. You might want to make a note. There's a terrible pothole back there. You might want to look into getting that sorted. Here's my identification. Here's my license for hunting and whatever it is we're doing here. Here's landing permission for the ship. Anything else you need? We kind of like keep producing bits of paperwork to offer everything.
And he's just as you're stacking them in, it's like, I just need to check your license, thank you. And he checks it over and puts it back onto the stack of papers, and it's like, all right, everything checks out. And You say pothole?
Aye, about however far I've just travelled back that way. There's
It's about half a kilometre.
about half a kilometre back that way. There was a terrible hole banged up this little beauty of a bike here. Luckily, I got it back up on its hover wheels again, and away we are.
I mean, this is rough country canyon. It's... Look where you're going next time.
No, it was more than that, Mr. Vossman. I fell into it. It was a pit, almost felt purposeful. A purposeful pit.
Man-made purposeful pit.
The spikes were kind of a bit of a giveaway for that.
A purposeful poaching pit.
A pointy purposeful poach.
Well, I best be going checking that out. Thank you for your time. Sorry for the inconvenience.
And thank you for the tip.
And they signal, move out. The other two Vesk who were just stood there in this sweltering heat, not barely blinking, was stood behind him the entire time. And they get back into their flying vehicle, plane. I don't know what it is. I made this up. They get back into their aircraft. There we go. Aircraft. That's a great word for a general thing.
To the UFO.
Really bird.
And take off and head in the direction that Flimsy you came from.
Well, Mr. Vossman, Flimsy, gave us a nice tip about 20 more Defrex up on the ridge, I think it was.
Oh, that sounds interesting. How would we get them down here, I wonder? But
Maybe a perception check.
That's a good point.
$15 from Flimsy.
13.
22.
Sorry, we were doing it.
You
I'm
doing
not
one?
very perceptive because I didn't even realise we were doing it. 18.
Trix, Jahir, you can see a trail. It's going to be a bit of it's more of a climb than it is a trail. So Jahir, you might be the only one who is able to get your Defrex up there, spook them a little, and get them to come out of this sort of like side canyon and then start coming down to the main track, where hopefully by that point everybody else is starting this herd moving and they'll just sort of like trickle into it and join.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to go off and try if you think that you've got the herd and the main bulk of the herd.
You've got the herd.
Herd.
We've
Remember,
got
you've
sure.
You've got your blood lures and your mating boombox.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to take a blood law just in case, or?
If we've got one spare, that would be a good idea.
I toss him one.
And I sent you across that MP3 that you needed for the noise if you need that.
But the mating call.
And you've got to re-roll if you need it.
Oh, yeah. Christ.
But you pile all your resources into Jahir,
And then
who is the
send him
only one
away.
trained, sending him away to gather these 20 while you're left, all three of you, to start driving this herd again.
Not that hard.
Seeing how prepared Jahir is, they all decide to just walk out anyway and join the herd.
All right, Jahir, I want a survival check. Everybody else, I will be taking a group piloting check.
Okie dokie.
Plus ones?
It's a 25.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Oh, dear, I didn't add that. So that is a 28.
8 from Flimsy.
13.
31 from Trix.
That'll be a 33 from Trix for the assistance from Yeva. Flimsy, this cycle seems to be a little bit wobbly.
Come on, Daisy. It's okay.
Oh, wait, hang on. The wheel's on sideways.
Don't let the shiny bikes intimidate you. You're just as good. Come on.
And you do manage to get it going again. Well, Jahir, you manage to get this Defrex to basically, you're having to hold on as it's calling it a trail is a bit of a misnomer. It's basically this near vertical break in the rocks that you just managed to rear up the Defrex, and it sort of like starts to scamper up the side of this wall. With you holding on, I'd say for dear life, but you're a little bit more reckless than that. So, not sure how you're holding on. And it levels out, and you sort of like manage to sort of like, it's not a very large area, and you just sort of like circle around and start driving these Defrex into off the side of this plateau. And they come down pretty much the same path that you took up, just in time for the rest of the herd to join. And you're back off driving the herd again.
Mr. Spudsy, who's a good boy? What next? We've had paperwork, a pit trap, a diversion.
Rap battle, I think, is the next one.
Natural disaster.
So who's where on this? Left and right.
I've taken my position back up on the right.
Same on the left.
Right, left. Jahir?
Rear, or making his way back to the rear.
And Yeva?
Somewhere confused in the middle.
Like in the back.
She's like, how did I get in here? I did not mean to be here.
And so Jahir, call heads or tails?
Tails.
Tails on the left-hand side. So I've just asked you, and I've immediately forgotten who is on the left.
Flimsy.
Underneath this overhang, you can see a series of very thorny, sinuous plants that start creeping out of this overhang and start lashing at the Defrex as they come close.
Oh my god. What in the gods' names are they?
Maybe a perception check.
It's a 9. It's very close to a much higher number.
What, 10?
Yes.
So they've already started lashing out of these Defrex. What are you going to do about it?
Does it look like I can shoot these plants back, maybe, and kind of, make them retreat back into this? You said they're coming from like an overhang or a cave or something?
There's a bit of an overhang, a cave. It seems almost like they're crawling out of the stonework.
Oh, okay.
If it was work stone.
I would. Well, the first thing Flimsy did. Everybody, there's something. The weird spider plant things on the left-hand side here. Maybe we should move the herd away from them if we can.
Mm-hmm.
Push him to my side, Flimsy. To my side.
Be careful of weapons, fire. The noise.
Cool. So yeah, Flimsy will take his hand off his weapon and try and steer them away from this side of the thing, if that's possible, on the left side.
Are you going to be using a survival or an intimidation check to get the Defrex to do what you want?
Well, intimidate is 100% better than a survival with a +1. So you say we could possibly use these additional helps after we've found out what the role is?
Yes, you could do.
Okay. So yeah, we'll rear Daisy into the, like, possibly, I think, putting ourselves in danger, I guess, between us and the the whippy vine spiders and try and push the herd away, steer the herd away from shouting and kind of like giving the noises that Jahir's made, trying to imitate them, like, yeah, come on, yeah.
They're not the animal noises, they're just random noises Jahir makes.
It's a 4 or a 5 if he gets to use his cowboy outfit to help.
Is that your final answer?
Go on, sorry, Jahir.
Use the mating thing.
Yeah, if possible. Hearing that his voice isn't doing anything at all, is going to instead like ring up his armband and be like, "I hope this works," and then press the boombox button.
Yeah,
Hopefully
and
steer them away.
it just lets out this Defrex call, which you kind of identified from the playlist as like danger. Avoid this area as you just come down this side. And that steers the Defrex back into the main. But I would like you to make me a fortitude check.
Yes, that's happening.
As some of these lashes strike out at you.
17.
And you feel the muscles stiffen on your left leg.
It's the accelerator, oh no.
But you've managed to drive the Defrex back into the main trail, avoiding these vines and lashes. Sorry, words have just... You know when your brain just goes... and halfway through a sentence, just completely lost everything.
Well, I've got words to have with that souvenir shop salesman. We asked if there's anything to worry about. Not Kefak, he called them Kefaks. Defrex eating vines might be something to worry about. Kind of hitting his leg, trying to get the feeling back into it.
Yeah, after a good couple of thumps, you do get the feeling back into your leg. No permanent damage, or residual damage, I should say, as you manage to survive a poison check.
You see, Daisy, we all just hang in there. Come on, we can do it.
And as you continue to drive the Defrex, you're still slowly picking up more stragglers from both of the sides. Make me a perception check, everybody.
$23.
20.
23 from Funzy.
13.
Either towards the front where you've just you've driven this into another small group of 5 Defrex, and as they're approaching, they seem to be taking on a more aggressive stance and standing off against one of the Defrex at the head of the herd. Looks like they're about to start displaying their dominance.
Jahir, assert dominance.
Jahir is at the back. This is happening at the front.
So Yeva will maybe pull out a blood lure and get that scent going, so she can help get that bonus at least. And I've been thinking this might actually be a good chance to do it. Use one of her abilities, the Infinite Worlds abilities, to create something in between the two of them so that they're not so eager to like run at each other.
Okay. And what are you doing with this blood lure?
She doesn't know.
The simplest thing to yeets it ahead, or just sort of like starts pouring it down as you ride off in front. Basically, they'll be attracted to the scent and start following you as you're just pouring it out.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay, so I'll forget the infinite worlds. I'll just like.
But no, the infinite worlds is great. You needed to do something about it.
Okay.
And the book suggests that you put yourself between these two things.
Oh, hell no.
Putting a sort of like stone slab that's suddenly risen from the ground.
Yeah, so...
It shocks them, and then you get out the blood lure and start trailing, and they've forgotten all about that, and they're just after the scent of blood.
Right, so yeah, exactly. Like, reality blurs a little bit as the stone kind of like waves into existence, and she's like holding the blood lure as the scent goes behind her.
Yeah, make me a piloting check.
+1?
+3.
+3, yes.
2 for the blood. 2 for the blood lure, 1 for the get up.
There we go, 17.
Nice.
That went for a walk. It was nearly a 2, I think, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh God, how am I going to injure even now? But no. With them being distracted by this stone suddenly appearing, they just, the entire herd and these new oncomers just start following after you. And you do actually manage to get a bit more speed out of them for the moment. You're making...
and +5 Defrex. Right, that was an extra group of 5 that we encountered?
Yes, but you've been picking up others along the way.
Okay. I have a 65 right now. I don't know if that's...
Same. Yeah, I've been keeping track. Oh, I think we've been getting miscellaneous ones. But
I am hitting roughly the right number then.
Okay.
I have just been pulling these numbers out of my arse. But, you should be on about 60 around about now.
Well done,
where you parked the Fool's Gold is coming into sight now. And as you're driving them towards it, has anybody not done something so far? I think everybody's done a little bit of a something so far.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that I'm sharing the love and the pain. Jahir, as you're sort of like driving them forward, you start hearing a sort of like stomping from behind you as these Defrex are chasing you and look intent on sort of like, you seem to be in charge around here. They don't seem to appreciate that. They're going to do something about it. What would you like to do to establish your dominance in this scene?
I'd like to stand against an epic sunset on like a slightly raised perch. No, I'm just going to turn around, charge towards them, and sort of stand up in the saddle and start sort of shouting, make as much noise as I can.
Roll me in D100.
Uh-oh.
Is that the percentage one?
Yes. So right click the D10 and it should give you a percent sign.
That is 68.
And leading this charge is a Defrex that looks very similar, if not indistinguishably so. Because I literally did think 86 in my mind. And you rolled an 86. You rolled a 68.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I was
said
thinking
68.
86. I thought you said 80.
I said 86. Yeah.
So instead, it's the exact opposite.
Complete reverse coloring.
But it's a weird,
The
like,
colouring is
mirror image.
inverted. The colouring is inverted, but it looks exactly the same as the mount that you're riding.
We discovered you here is colourblind.
So you're trying to basically stand off and establish your dominance of the scene. Yeah. Okay. Is this more of an intimidation check? Do we feel, or a survival check?
Yeah, because he knows what this animal's trying to do. He recognises what it's trying to do, and you know, the biggest animal normally wins, isn't it?
So you're just trying to make yourself look big and imposing, and you know.
Well, I mean, he's 7 foot tall. He's got 4 arms. He's on top of the Defrex already, so we know he's a good mount.
He's got a whip as well. That sounds like a
yeah. Oh yeah. I've got my
control.
tackle.
Like, yeah.
All right. Either a survival or a intimidation check. I'll let you pick.
I'm gonna go survival. If all else, a natural 1 for a 10.
Reroll.
Reroll.
You have a reroll,
Oh, yeah,
right?
the reroll.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the one person who's got a reroll. You might want to reroll that.
Yeah.
You can let
leave
it stand if you wish. I'll take the
No,
10.
Yeva saw this in her meditations.
If I'd have had to stick with that, I might have had to get the frag grenades out. So we'll definitely go with a reroll for a 23.
Yeah, Yeva, you see as sort of like this Defrex comes just charging into the side, takes out Jahir's mount, and he just face plants before getting trampled on. But then reality plays out differently as you see, so like Jahir is trying to make themselves tall and overly aggressive. When this one comes in and takes out his mount, he just dives, grabs hold of some fur, and starts wrangling and wrestling with its Defrex. And you manage to subdue it and bring it under control.
Ooh, what about Mr. Spuds?
Mr. Spuds is looking a little... Defrex hide is used in modern armor, so they're tough, they're resilient. Mr. Spuds is fine. This is not a J-Station stream.
I think when you said the hide is, I was thinking, oh shit, he's going to say it's going to be on the wall of the ship in a minute. Awesome. So now I've got 2. Right, Mr. Spuds. This is Mrs. Spuds. We'll get along. We'll play nice. I've asserted my dominance. And I'll pick up Mr. Spuds' reins and tootle on back like nothing happened.
That brings another 15 Defrex into the fold. You arrive back at the Fool's Gold with, if my math is correct, 80 Defrex.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Is that, are we all loading them on the ship, or have we got?
Well, no, we want to leave them outside for a day while I calibrate the.
Oh yeah.
While we wait for the perfect Fortune drift moment.
Yeah.
Yep. So Trix, make me a piloting check.
I'm gonna need feeding and watering and things like that.
20.
The stuff around here, surely. That's where they've been hanging out.
So you managed to work out that in a day or so, there's going to be the ideal opportunity, and you can sort of like figure out exactly when you need to start loading the Defrex on board the ship. Flimsy, you take a look aboard the cargo bay of the Fool's Gold.
Mm-hmm.
And the goblins seem to have done a respectable job.
Mm.
Being the operative word.
Can I go and like rattle the cages and Make sure they don't all just fall down like dominoes one after another around.
Maybe an engineering check.
29.
You do notice before you start rattling too much that there is some weak spots in it, but you manage to patch them up before anything untowards occurs.
Cool. Flinty will find Fleagrave and you did all right there, little fella. These should do pretty well. And we'll take his large hat off and give it to Fleagrave. Don't know whether it's going to consume his face or not, but it'll give him a little
It just slides down over him.
Ground level, like completely shooting.
A gift for Fleagrave?
Yes, you're a free elf now.
But I'm a goblin!
Yeah, you did a good job. There's a little bonus for you. You're a real Defrex boy. Give him a little punch on the shoulder.
So you've got a couple of days to wait until you can start loading up.
Should we return our things that we're paying by the day for?
Absolutely.
Yep.
We could try and get some.
Could everybody make me some perception checks?
Okay.
23.
13 from Trix.
Jahir, at the edge of your hearing, you can hear this keening noise. It sounds like Defrex, but it seems to be in some sort of distress or discomfort.
Are we on the ship or are we outside?
You're outside.
Um,
All right, I'm assuming you're outside. If you want to be on the ship, you hear nothing but the purring of the engine. Flimsy, you're outside. But no, Jahir, you're outside. You hear this keening.
I'm going to radio through to the others. There's a noise. There's a distress. One of them's in distress. I'm going to look. Without waiting for replies, just going to mount up Mr. Spudsy and head out, see what you can see.
Damn it, Jahir. If Lindsay runs outside, I'm guessing watching Jahir's trail disappear, can Lindsay tell whether or not it's a recording, like one of the recordings that he's heard?
Make a life science check.
Oh, good lord. Yeah, 17, untrained though.
It definitely sounds real, but from the recordings that you've been listening to, it sounds like the howls of a newborn Defrex pups.
Oh. We'll probably relay that to the crew. Jahir, it sounds like this file here labeled baby Defrex. Trix, Eva, should we go and help out?
Yep, and Trix is just already running to the cycle and hopping on and driving off.
Fleagrave, have you got this situation?
Sure. What is the situation?
Just make sure these Defrex don't leave and don't do anything else to cause any trouble.
I can feel this going wrong.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll ride after Jahir, I guess.
All right.
And Jahir, following the cries, you come to a bit of a steep embankment, and you can see sort of like a half dozen sort of like Defrex are lining the wall of this gully, and at the bottom, about at the bottom, about 10 feet below you, is this older Defrex that is fallen into this pool of mud that is boiling as you see bubbles form and pop with just steam. You can feel the heat from up here.
How far is Flimsy up?
Flimsy, Trix, Yeva, you arrive moments later.
Situation, Jahir?
We've got a bit of an incident. Can you round up these other ones, and I'll help this one down here.
Be careful with it. Looks hot.
Right. Yeva kind of like peers down and tries to get as close of a look at that boiling mud pit as she can. Is it physical or magical?
It's likely to be physical.
Mm-hmm.
But can I get everybody to make life science checks? Is anybody trained in life science?
Not I.
Don't think so.
They're all making fun noises.
I got a whole 2.
Okay.
We all rolled below
spread.
10.
Trix got a 10.
Okay. Okay.
Flimsy got a 17.
No, that was
No, that was for the previous one.
Oh,
Yeah. So 10, a 7, a 2, and a 9. In total, that's a respectable roll, but this isn't based on totals. Yeah, it definitely seems natural, but you don't know what's causing this.
Hey, Flimsy, have you got the rope?
Yes, I do. Use the rope. And I'm going to toss you the... do you want the good rope or the bad rope?
I'm going to go with the good rope today. Normally, you know, I'd go with the bad rope just for shits and giggles, but now we go with the good rope.
Flimsy will toss you some titanium alloy cable line.
And turn on your environmental protections if you can.
I put my suit on. So.
Is it worth tying the other end of it to the bike again, like we did with Yeva?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeva will try. She'll pop her second and last blood lure to try and herd the rest of the Defrex here
Nice.
out of the gully and out of the way.
And as you're attempting to do this, the Defrex are they sense smell the scent of the blood lure, and they turn. But the moment you get more than a couple of feet away, they just sort of like shake it off and start just looking down back at this Defrex in distress. Jahir, did you?
Anyway, though, sorry.
They're not leaving.
Okay, cool.
Jahir, you were trying to climb down?
Yes.
Make me an athletics check.
Is a 26.
As you descend down, the gully wall is crumbling a little bit and sort of like gives way, but you manage to stabilize yourself before falling into a pit of boiling mud.
Am I close enough to ascertain how badly injured it is? I know I'm not trained. Oh no, I am trained now. It says class skill, but I've got a -1, so.
Do you have a rank in it?
Which one's rank? I've got the first 2 ticks.
No, in the ranks column, which is just after the name.
Oh,
of it.
no, nothing there.
Yep. Unless if you have 1 rank in it, then you are considered trained, whether it's a class skill or otherwise.
Okay. So no, I'm trained.
Yeah, you're untrained. What were you trying to ascertain?
In brutal honesty, whether it's worth saving it or putting it out of its misery.
Make me a medicine check.
That's so close to a natural 20. That's 7.
All you know, to a certain degree, is Defrex are fairly tough and resilient against a lot of these things. What you don't know is how it is currently doing as it was.
Okay. Could I relay the information to Yaven, potentially? Or?
Well, Yeva can see you to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, like, obviously, if I'm next to it, I can describe what I'm seeing and see if she knows or can ascertain whether it's in a better condition.
No.
Are you any good at medicine?
If it's, I'm good at magic and I'm good at physical science.
Right. I thought you had medicine.
I might be able to have an idea if you can tell me the situation.
Well, I mean, you'd probably hear it on the comms, wouldn't you? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a medicine check?
It will be a medicine check.
Oof. It's 10. 2 on the dice.
All right. These things are resilient. They also come from this planet, so if they didn't have some kind of defenses against this, you'd think that they would have died off years ago. But it's difficult to tell.
I think anything's better than probably leaving it in there, though, Jahir.
Get the rope around it.
Since you're already in the mud.
Untie the rope and put it around the I forgot what they're called.
But as you begin to approach this boiling mud pit, from a couple of mounds just off away, you see these rock-covered slugs with more of what seems to be carnivorous teeth burst out of the ground.
Slugs with teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Slugs with teeth.
Is that what I've been seeing whenever Yaber casts the the spell? Just the mouth of one of those.
You should now be able to see a map.
I can see me and a black abyss of squares.
Same as these.
Yeah.
Lighting.
Why are we doing this at night? This is a terrible idea.
Well, Jahir did want a sunset to have in the background of their previous visage. So how is that?
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
I've turned off the lighting so that you can see things.
Can you open it for me again? I lost it.
No. You're just going to have to do this theater of mind. Just you, though. You got it?
Mm-hmm. I was able to see, I guess, because I have low light vision.
Right, yeah. All right. Let's have some initiatives.
Why, though?
18.
9.
24.
And 20.
Not bad. Not bad at all. All right. Tricks, top of the round. It is yourself.
Jahir, you've got company. What are the range on my guns?
If it's a laser pistol, it's 80 feet.
Yeah. And Trix is going to jump up onto her cycle and attempt to trick attack the blighter, but failed the trick attack with a nat 1. So she's just going to shoot.
Unfortunately, the cycle wasn't parked on stable ground and it just flops to its side, but a 23 will hit.
Yeah. Take a whole 2 points of damage, you evil slug thing.
All 2 points of damage. Well, I just double check something. You'd think that things that live in burning, boiling pits of mud might have some resistance to this. But apparently, I don't have the material loaded. It's 2 points of damage. It'll stand for the moment. Yeva, you're up.
Well, shit. I got plenty of range. They're both 65 feet away from me, so she hops off her energy cycle and just like opens up that slit into another dimension. This time the dimension is filled with pointy spikes, pointy rock spikes. As these rock spikes shoot out and pierce into the slug that I have targeted here. It was probably a move action to get off the energy cycle. Although, yes, was it?
Would we have been off the cycles?
You probably would have been off the cycles as soon as you pulled up.
Then I'll take a full round action to cast this. 5 points of damage, and it's bleeding 2 for 3 rounds.
All right, against which one did you? It's 6.
Number 6.
All right,
Which is worrisome.
Three rounds and happens on initiative of it. There we go. All right. You see this Defrex just all like start to scramble and try to. It's behaving a little bit like quicksand. But it's boiling mud, and it's trying to scramble and stay afloat, or at least its head out of the muck for the moment. All right. Jahir, what are you doing?
I am going to untie my rope and see if I can try and lasso the sinking Defrex.
All right. Make me a survival check.
Do I get any of the modifiers that we have?
You're getting the +1 from the right get up, but you're not mounted at the moment.
Okay. It's an 18.
And unfortunately, the lasso just sort of lands to the side, and it almost looks like it might slip into it, but then it just thrashes about some more, and it just sinks beneath the mud.
Okay.
You're pulling it back out?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I thought that was it for actions.
I'll allow you to throw it and pull it back if you miss. You might not get such a luxury if you hit, but yeah, unfortunately, it didn't snag it this time.
Yeah, no, he pulled it out.
Are you done?
Yep.
All right. Creature number 6 should have taken 2 points of bleed damage. I don't know why it didn't. I'll worry about that in a moment, as this thing burrows down and does a thing. Flimsy, you're up.
Why is it always slimy monsters?
Because everything's better with slime. Didn't the 90s teach you anything?
Jahir, we'll keep you covered if you can rescue the melty bear thing.
It's melting. What?
Somebody's going to touch the side of his head and tap on his rune and target this creature 1 with his
Targeting computer?
Targeting computer, yes, that's the thing. Thank you very much. And point their infinity rifle at them.
Combat tracking.
Combat tracking, there we go. Thank you very much. And be like, hope you're not as slippery, slimy as you look. And take a shot, a boosted shot. Oh no, it's a move action, isn't it? So I can't do it.
Move action so you can't boost this round.
So a regular shot, but with +1. Regular. 20 to hit, dirty 20.
Dirty 20 will indeed hit.
For medium damage.
Oof, it's rough. All right.
Back in there, sunken Defrex. If that's your real name.
This is also going to burrow into the ground and start doing a thing. Trix, you're up.
Can Trix jump on to this boulder thingy here?
Yep. That'll be your entire move action. Unless you
Huzzah! I see nothing.
Maybe a perception check.
Yeah. 19.
You can see that the soil from there to there has been disturbed. And the soil from there to there has been disturbed.
I shall point that out to the others.
Yeah. Or Trix, is there anything else you would like to do on your turn?
No. I'm good.
All right. Yeva?
Yeva is gonna move here. She can't get much closer, so 10 feet this way, and pull out her lens pistol. As she does, kind of looking around, but I think that's it. I needed to spend a move action to pull out my pistol, so I don't know if I can ready a shot when they come up.
No, you'd need to spend your entire turn readying.
Okay, then that's it. But I've got my pistol out now.
All right. The Defrex is thrashing around, and you can hear it wail as it's quite literally boiling alive. But Jahir.
I'm just going to move slightly that way to see if I can get a better angle on it, and then try again with a lassoing.
All right.
In a
Survival
cowboy.
Yeah, survival again.
24.
And you manage to lasso it this time. And it is now lassoed. You're going to need, because this is you're going to need to calm it and then help pull it. Or you could just go straight to the pulling, but it might be more difficult if it's not working with you.
Yeah. No, he's going to try and calm it.
Yep, on your next round.
Yeah.
All right.
Would it be calming if we threw a flushing lizard at its face?
No. Also, you will definitely not get the deposit back if you throw the flushing lizard into the boiling pit of mud. Just throwing that in. Flimsy, Yaver, and Trix, give me perception checks.
$24.
23.
5.
You can see, or most of you can see, either you need this pointing out, that the one of the mounds has like burrowed and disturbed the earth to that point there. And quick question, Yaver. Does your effect happen at the start of a turn or at the end of a turn?
It happens at the top, at the start of its turn.
Radio. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Killed many a creature of mine before I got to do anything.
It just dies underground, and we're none the wiser.
Flimsy, you're up.
It didn't, with our perception check, see where the other one might have moved?
You did, and Trix pointed this out. It's over there.
Okay, cool. No worries. Flimsy, probably seeing that Trix has pointed at the one that's coming towards you here. It's going to step here. Take a change weapon. We'll drop the rifle and pull out a different weapon as part of a move action. Is that right? Yeah, cool. No worries. Little buggers want to go underground, will they? Well, let's see if we can get them excavated. And I'm going to target that position with the excavation laser and see if we can get them onto the ground.
Totally forgot you had that. All right, make me a attack roll.
Attack roll, okay. Yeah, I mean, it depends if he's going to hit with it. Here we go. We know what Flimsy's like with the excavation laser.
Jahir's getting a bit twitchy.
Dirty 20. Quite close right to Jahir's face.
And now, so you hit where you think that it is. Mm-hmm. Because it is underground, it has total concealment. Mm-hmm. So that's a 50% chance just to straight up miss. I want you to roll me a D100 and call high or low before you make the roll.
It's D10s, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. I'm going to go with high, because high is always fun. Oh, hey!
All right, now roll for damage.
It's 11 points of damage.
As you sort of carve out this area of rock, you think you hit something when this blood and gore just sort of spew out of the ground before being cauterized in your laser. It appears and dies.
Hey.
Good.
Well,
that was play of the century, that was.
Dog goes out of a hole.
I just love the way that I totally forgot about it, and it's like, yeah, just kill it. Why not? Rolling over the perception checks from earlier, because I don't want to be making too many every round. You see the other mound start to move from there to there, Trix and Flimsy. You're still scanning the area, trying to figure out where this thing was gotten to. Trix, you are up.
Trix is gonna hop on. Is it a sheer cliff face, or is it something I could slide down?
You can try and. Which way are you going?
That way.
Right. Okay, you can try and slide down it. It is going to be an athletics check to safely get down.
Yeah. 24.
God damn it. Why can't somebody fail and fall into the mud? You move there.
Whee! Can I attempt to assist in calming the Defrex down somehow?
You are going to need to... Just looking at your options as written down here, and one of them doesn't make any sense, so trying to make sense of it for a moment.
Can I attempt to be a Defrex whisperer?
Yeah, well, the literal options are life science, survival, or stealth. Now, you're going to want to use stealth knowing you, but you tell me how this works.
No, it's okay.
Surprise,
like, just stealth up onto it and just like, shh.
In the middle of a pool of boiling mud.
Trix could make that jump.
So you're going to jump over to it, land on its back, hopefully, and just whisper shh, shh into its ear.
I mean, I will take the survival and just try to, animal handling it.
No, I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying if that's what you're doing, I want an acrobatics check to nail the landing and then a stealth check to somehow calm it down.
There's an 18 to nail the landing.
That'll do.
Stealthily whisper in their ears.
A
As it goes
21
underneath.
to stealthily quiet the beast.
You just glomp on, give it a big old hug.
And it does somehow manage to soothe the savage beast. It's looking a lot calmer now, Jahir.
Is it also looking slightly lower in the quicksand? Because physics.
You get the feeling that it's actually managed to reach the bottom of this pool and it's just trying to keep its head above water more than anything else. It doesn't sink any further down with the additional weight.
Plus, Defrexes are actually large, so there's space.
Yes. Eva.
Yeva's just gonna train her pistol on the spot that was pointed out to her and ready. The first time she sees a slug pop, it's actually just anytime she sees a slug anywhere, she's gonna shoot at it.
Fair enough.
That action will hold for the rest of the campaign.
Until you shoot one of them sapient slugs in the face.
Yep. And then I'll go to jail.
The sunken Defrex is looking a little bit calmer now and is looking more willing to go along with whatever you guys suggest. Jahir.
Does it appear to be surprised by that revelation?
It seems to be confused by this revelation. Time will tell whether it should be surprise or disappointment.
Jahir is going to, he's just going to drop all his weapons and forearm, try and pull with every arm he's got.
All right, make me an
now he's got the weight of tricks on it as well.
Check.
Is a 21.
Nice.
And you do manage to pull it out.
Does Trix ride it out?
I'm assuming that Trix is holding on for dear life, not wanting to fall into the mud, or do you want a mud spa, Trix?
No, I would not like a mud spa.
All right. Trix comes along as well for the, ride.
Pull a muddy creature out of the lake. If you realise it's Trix, they're throwing the rope back again for the.
You realise it's Trix and throw them back in. So I didn't want you. I wanted the Defrex.
No.
All right. Oh wait, you're dead. Flimsy.
From this ridge, does Flimsy have a clear shot of where they think the?
You do have the clear shot.
Cool.
I kind of moved the Defrex into the way, and then it was like that. How would Jahir pull in that direction?
Magic.
That's what all the arms are for. Right, come on, you slippery little guy. I've got +1 to this actually as well, because it's the first one. And try again to try and see if I can excavate this thing.
Yep.
It's a natural 20.
All right, I do have to say though, you do need to make that high-low check.
I'm gonna go with high again. Here we go.
All right.
Oh no, it's a 92. I thought it was 29.
Yeah, it's a 92. And the plus minus modifiers in the top left if you click on damage critical for me, and then roll them bones.
Oh, where are these? Sorry.
In the top right, you've got the plus minus.
Oh yes, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Critical. Fantastic. Here we go.
Because you didn't have a target, it wouldn't recognize it initially as a critical.
14 points of damage.
You're
Critical
getting
effect? No.
used to this excavation laser. The first time that you used it was more of a practice run. This you've just managed to do enough to excavate this thing and then cause a slug to explode in gibbon gore out of a hole.
It works much better outside, guys.
It's not hitting Jahir.
And yes, with the threat taken care of, you and Jahir, the Defrex is well on its way to being pulled out, and you manage to pull out the Defrex along with Trix out of this boiling mud pit, as it were. With that, this Defrex and its 9 cubs, I'm calling them cubs, but I think they're cubs. We'll go with cubs. Pups, that's what they're referred to as. Join your herd.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
So somebody make a note that your herd size is now up to 90.
Mm-hmm.
Is it injured now? Can I see any better? Or...
It seems to be somewhat injured, but it doesn't seem to be, it looks more superficial than anything else. You see areas of its fur and spines burnt away. But as you gingerly press the areas, it doesn't negatively react to your touch. It doesn't seem to be overly sensitive.
Nothing in the med kit's going to help in this creature in any way.
No, unless you got some spray on hair.
Spray on spines.
Probably should say that.
As you look around to make your way out of this area, because trying to get the Defrex to go up that slope would be a little bit cumbersome. You find amid the mounds lies a decomposing corpse.
Ooh.
And as adventurers are wont to do, you poke around their inventory and loot the corpse, I assume. You can all pass on this if you don't want to loot the corpse.
Is it wearing a Defrex riding outfit? Does it fall off its mount? This is the creature.
It made me a culture check.
Okie dokie.
Now that the fight's over, I can't get it out of my head that they're just giant cookies on that map. They look like giant chocolate chip cookies.
It doesn't look like a Wrangler. Sorry, 27.
Yeah, 27 from Flimsy.
It doesn't look like a Wrangler. It's more camouflage, and so you suspect that this corpse is that of a poacher.
Oh, cool.
We
What
throw
do
them
they
in the
poach?
carpet.
See what they've got for us here. Come on.
Are you looting the body?
Yeah, it's a poacher. Dirty rotten poacher.
All right. And on the body, you find a tactical rail gun
Hello.
Wow.
and 25 long arm rounds of amplified diatha ammunition.
What's that?
This would make a lot more sense if you'd managed to identify these slug creatures.
No, none of us identify because none of us have got life signs. So we're just, we'll kill him over the bus.
But from the tactical sense, the long arm rounds will explode on impact and deal an additional 2d4 points of fire damage. And it's not giving me a package, I don't think, to get out. So I might have to... Oh, no, here we go. Found it. So I'm just going to drop this into the party sheet. And as you make your way back to your little encampment, as you're ready to wait out the remaining time and return these mounts, as it were, to everybody what's it. That is where we are going to call the stream for this evening.
Oh, are we riding off in the sunset? Back to handing our hired gear.
The charge is 3 weeks worth of hire. And then we're going to be skinned. Ships repossessed.
Another successful job.
And there we have it. You have almost concluded the drive. You still need to get the cattle aboard the ship and the ship over to Vesk 3. But that is something that we will pick up next time here on All the Glitters Explodes. As I said at the top of the stream, we are going to be taking the next 2 weeks off for the holiday period, and we will be returning on the 3rd of January. I have been and will continue to be Kyron Russmore. You can usually find me here on the internet at twitch.tv/Kyron Russmore, where I host a variety of gaming streams on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Although this coming Friday is slightly different, but I'll let J-Station talk about that in a moment. And over the holiday period, I'm likely to be streaming roughly about this time over on my channel because I have nothing better to do. So I hope to see you all around. And if not, back on Friday and January 3rd. Flimsy.
Hello, I am JStation64. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. You can find me on my Twitch channel at JStation64. Where I stream on Thursdays playing some No Man's Sky, exploring the wilds of space, and on Saturday at 9 p.m. and then Saturday morning 9:30 a.m. for playing Badman Arthur Morgan as we're going exploring the wilds. And as Karen said, on this Friday we are going to be playing over on Manapot's Studios channel on the EU Happy Hour, a Tales from the Loop adventure, a Christmas special with actually three of the four people here. As they play the kids on bikes going to... we didn't get quite to cover what the adventure is going to be, so it's going to be a surprise for them, which is quite exciting. As the brothers Yiva and Jahir and as unyet named kid Chiron, along with Ghost of Sunny, who's often in chat, will be joining us for that.
We named his character Smokey.
Yeah. It was the primary element of character creation. It was the... So yeah, you can join us at 7:30 p.m. I believe we're playing that, Eva.
7:30 GMT.
GMT, yeah. Yeah, I'll also be streaming a bunch of other stuff across Christmas, like Populous and hopefully some Nintendo 64. See how that goes.
Hi everyone, thank you for being here today. Of course, my wishes for your holidays and the end of the year are echoed. Please stay in touch with us on the Discord in the meantime over the next few weeks, and check out our calendar, if I can spell it properly, for future games. I have been scheduling games for the new year, so you can use that Google Calendar to see all of the cool stuff that's coming up in the next several months. I will be live tomorrow on my channel with the continuation of the Sea and the Spear, my solo playthrough of the Skull and Shackles at Pathfinder Adventure Path. And then, of course, I'll be back here on Friday with some awesome Tales from the Loop.
And Tricks.
Hey, I'm Trick Commissions. I do art things across various social media platforms.
And the Chihir. And you said
I am Retro Ted. You can find me playing Icewind Dale currently at the moment. The stream's going to be a bit changed, so I can't give you times, but I might move it to the afternoons to spend time with the family. I wish you all a happy new year and a good festive season, and remember to take some time for yourself and to read some books if you need to.
All right. Once again, thank you for all joining us this evening. Hope to see you on the 3rd of January. And until then, bah humbug.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Feliz
Have a good New
Navidad.
Year.